If you spend any time looking online for ways to make money from home, I'm sure you come across data entry. There's nothing wrong with data entry. It's simple, it's easy, especially if you're already working a full-time job. It can definitely bring in extra income. And for some people, it's a great place to start. But here's what I've noticed. A lot of people aren't necessarily looking for data entry because they love typing. They're looking because they're worried. They're worried about retiring. They're worried about layoffs. They're worried about what happens if my paycheck disappears. And that's exactly why I wanted to create this video, because I want to show you 5 business models that may offer more long-term potential than traditional data entry work. Not because data entry is bad, but because at some point, many people start asking, how do I stop starting over? This first model, definitely one of my favorites, is digital products. A digital product can be anything that can be downloaded. It could be a guide, a checklist, recipe book, a budget spreadsheet, really anything that solves a problem. And many people create these products using a free website called Canva, and they can sell them on platforms like Etsy or Gumroad, or they can even create a social media profile and sell these products from their profile. And the best part about this is if they create a product and they sell, they earn 100% of the profit. So there's no sharing commissions with anyone, which is what I love. Something else is once you create a product, you can resell that product over and over again to kind of create that passive income. So unlike data entry, with digital products, you're actually building an asset, and that's a completely different mindset. Because you think of data entry as like a job, whereas digital products is more of a business model, something that you can control, something that you can not only control the products that you create, but you can also control the amount of income that you can bring in, which is pretty cool. And the best part is no one can take that away from you, unlike a job. Second business model is blogging. And I know blogging sounds kind of old school, but the thing is, people are searching on Google every single day. They need answers. They need information. And I actually ran a blog years ago myself. And what's cool is you create articles on your blog, and months later, people can still find it. That completely changed how I thought about income. Now, the income potential could range from obviously nothing to a couple $1,000s a month. And you have the potential to make multiple income streams, which is pretty cool. The third model is becoming an online notary. And if you're already a notary in your state, you can check out websites like DocVerify or Notary. Potential income is reported to be around $20 to $100 per session, depending on obviously circumstances and the state requirements. And I like this because it's real. People understand it. There's definitely a need. You just obviously have to be certified in your state to be a notary. Now, I came across this when I was doing research on side hustles because I wanted to point out side hustles that people don't necessarily think of. And this side hustle is pretty cool. It's a parking lot cleanup business. So you can go to a website called cleanlots.com just to get more information. And all you do is clean litter from commercial properties. You don't need any expensive equipment. You don't need a degree or complicated technology. And this is just simple. For the founder, this became a 6-figure business. And the cool thing is, if you get enough clients, you can actually hire employees underneath you to create a little bit more freedom in your schedule, which is pretty cool. Next side hustle is bookkeeping. And obviously, if you already don't have this skill set, it might take some time to develop. But once you have that skill set, it can be extremely valuable because you can become an independent bookkeeper and help small businesses with whatever they need because they're willing to pay someone to do this work for them. Now, the real reason I made this video isn't to question if data entry is good or bad. That's actually not the issue here at all. The bigger question is, what am I trying to build? What is my ultimate goal? Because if your goal is just needing a couple bucks extra this month, data entry is probably fine. But if your goal is to gain more control of your future, then eventually you're going to want to start to look at business models because they're assets. They're things that continue working after you've done the initial work. And that's exactly where my thinking shifted. Because here's the thing, I've been laid off twice in the last 10 years alone. And I realized something. I wasn't looking for another job. I wasn't even looking for another paycheck. I was looking for control because every layoff taught me the same lesson. And that is someone else could decide what happened to my income. And I got tired of that feeling. And I wanted something that belonged to me. Something that I could build, something that can grow over time. And that's the real reason I started paying attention to business models instead of just side hustles. And I was reading through the comments that I've been getting on my videos this week, and I noticed something. Nobody was really asking about the side hustles. What people were talking about were the layoffs that they experienced. The feeling of starting over, watching their savings shrink, worried about retirement, feeling exhausted and stuck. And honestly, I completely understood that. Because again, for me, I wasn't just looking for another side hustle. I was looking for relief. I was looking for control. I was looking for a way to stop feeling like one decision at work could completely change my future. And for so many years, I would come home after work exhausted, physically and mentally tired, emotionally tired. And even when I sat down in the evening, I felt like I couldn't relax because there was always something in the back of my mind saying, what happened if something would to go wrong? What happens if my job disappears? What happens if I have to start over? And maybe you've had those thoughts too. Maybe you laid in bed staring at the ceiling and wondering how you're going to get ahead. Maybe you looked at your bank account and wish it felt less stressful. Maybe you're like me and you told yourself there has to be a better way than this. I wanted a future that didn't feel so fragile. And I wanted to feel like I was building something to help my future. And for the first time in a long time, I felt relief. The kind of relief that comes from the feeling that you're moving in the right direction. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, I don't want to keep starting over. I don't want to depend on one paycheck forever. I don't want to feel this stress 5 years from now. And I think that's what got me the most. Because I didn't want the next year to look like the year past. And I didn't want to be stuck in the same situation. So if you love the idea of controlling your income, controlling the paycheck, creating a paycheck that you know that you deserve, you've worked hard for so many years, isn't it time for you to finally take control of your financial future and not have to rely on a company? If you want more information of what I am doing, click on the link in the description below. And when you take a look at it, at the blueprint, you're going to start to feel relief. You're going to start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. After you get the roadmap and you go through everything, I want you to ask yourself, does this make more sense than what you've been trying? Because that question alone changed everything for me. And it might be the same for you. Click on the link in the description below and I'll see you in the next video.